Jurassic World Rebirth has dropped in theaters, so it's time to stop and rank every Jurassic Park movie from the worst to one of the best movies of all time. While I'm talking, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Let me know your ranking of the Jurassic Park movies. Throw in Battle at Big Rock if you've seen it. My list is not the right list, it's just my list, and I would love to see yours. One more thing before we get started. Today's video is brought to you by Audible. If you're like me and you like to read with your ears, not your eyes, I do recommend checking out Audible. I've been a member for 10 years now, actually 9 years and 11 months. It'll be 10 years in August, and you can get a free audiobook of your choice with a free 30-day trial of Audible at audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. I do recommend checking out the book Jurassic Park if you've never read it. It is a fantastic book, and it's a great example of how you can tell the same story in two different mediums, and each of them excels at their specific medium. So in the case of the book, it's able to go into a lot more detail about the conspiracy, everything kind of going wrong, the science, and so it's a great companion to the movie if you've never read it. And you can read it for free or listen to it for free at audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. And let's get started. In last, Fallen Kingdom. Now I know a bunch of you immediately are like, well, what are you talking about? Dominion's the worst one. Hey, I'm gonna roast Dominion in just a few minutes. Credit where credit is due. Fallen Kingdom is a better directed film than Dominion, but I would much rather rewatch Dominion than rewatch Fallen Kingdom. And the reason for that is very simple. I don't think this movie understands why people watch Jurassic movies. The entire draw of the franchise is bringing dinosaurs back to life. The wonder, the horror of it all. The appeal is not seeing them brought back just to go extinct again and watching them die. There is like a 15-minute stretch in this movie where we watch dinosaurs desperately run for their lives, where they are burned to death. Maybe they're able to escape the fire where they drown to death.
Please stop it now, turn it off, turn it off.
And then we cut to a sadist, like ripping out dinosaur teeth.
Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it.
Just to see Blue getting shot.
Stop it.
It's all this stuff that's like building conflict in the story, but it's so unpleasant to have so much of it be done, and in a context where the treatment of dinosaurs is just like cruel and nasty. And I don't enjoy watching that. I'd much rather watch Dominion. And then in the back half of the movie, it just goes in in a strange direction where we're at a mansion where the plot is about dinos being saved to be sold by terrorists who have genetically engineered these raptors to be laser controlled.
That's a laser raptor. I thought they went extinct thousands of years ago.
We throw in a human clone. Like, it is such a weird, bizarre movie, all leading up to this convoluted end where they push a button and free the dinosaurs, and like 50 dinosaurs are freed out of one location, and somehow this leads to dinosaurs covering the entire Earth. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think the frustrating thing is the basic setup at the beginning of the movie, the fake plot of the volcano's gonna go off, we're gonna try and rescue the dinosaurs. That could have been a really great Jurassic movie. There was easily a better film to be made out of this setup, and they simply chose depressing, weird, and stupid.
That's a laser raptor.
Number 6, Jurassic World Dominion. And this is an atrocious Jurassic movie.
That is one big pile of shit.
That utterly wastes the concept of dinosaurs all over the Earth. It utterly wastes the concept of the OG and the world cast combining together into a single film, but as a generic blockbuster, I find it completely watchable. It's fine as a blockbuster. It's slick enough and has enough quips, jokes, action that I can easily watch this movie versus Fallen Kingdom, which I find it actively unpleasant to watch that film. Dominion itself also really sucks as a Jurassic Park film. And we could sit down, me and you, whoever you are, and we could spitball 1,000 better follow-ups to Fallen Kingdom than what they came up with. We could make a wish list of everything you'd want to see in a movie where dinosaurs are all over the earth, and somehow some insane person at Universal greenlit this bizarre plot where Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant are doing corporate espionage at Evil Apple.
You serious?
We'd come up with something so much better than laser-guided raptors being sold in a black market in Malta.
That's a laser raptor.
We'd come up with something way more dinosaur-focused than evil locusts attacking crops.
Yeah, buddy, I gotta say, that's probably the worst thing I've ever heard.
I think the part that's even craziest to me is that it's a movie where the dinosaurs are entirely secondary. Like, it's a corporate espionage plot about locusts and human cloning in a world where dinosaurs exist. The solution to the problem is not dinosaurs, it's the human clone or human clone-ish type person. The original cast are used in the most insane way possible. Let's take the most outdoorsy adventurer ever, Alan Grant, and put him in a sterile, high-tech environment to do espionage. That's insane level of bad decision-making. And as a Jurassic movie, it is unbelievably horrific. Like shocking levels of bad ideas.
And the idiots who made this film are taking 2 hours of my life and robbing it from me in order to give me less than nothing. Yeah. I mean, a movie like this is a crime.
Next up, Jurassic Park 3. And I'll say this, as just an adventure movie, it's a fun dinosaur romp. But this film is also a cautionary tale in the dangers of starting production without a finished script, of setting a release date before you're confident in the direction that you're headed. This is a film that had a very troubled pre-production and production because they could never lock in on the movie that they wanted to make. The director of the film said, "There were actual phone calls where I called my agent and I said, look, you have got to get me off this movie. I don't care what it takes." What happened was 5 weeks before they started filming, they threw out the script and decided to start over.
Not a great plan.
They wanted to make it a much more streamlined narrative, but because they'd already developed sets and set pieces and VFX, they had to rewrite this new script to what had already been developed. So if you've ever watched the movie thinking that it felt kind of patchwork and very simplistic, but scattershot at the same time, that's why. Joe said, "It's hard enough to make a movie when you've got a script that you really love and it's been polished to death. But to start over and start shooting a $100 million movie without a script, you want to blow your brains out." It was actually much harder for the production designer than it was on me. He had to literally build things, sometimes overnight. He almost hung himself. 2 different suicide references. Joe actually talked about how they tried to adapt all this stuff that had been created based on previous drafts and how they tried to work it into the new script. And they were in pretty good shape, so we tried to adapt those to the new story, and a lot of it did. We actually brought in some earlier ones that were in the first version of the draft that we had thrown out a year earlier. The story you see in Jurassic Park 3 is the third complete version of the story. Their director wasn't the only one to chime in on this. Actor William H. Macy said, "The script has been evolving and being rewritten as we go. What you want to say is, who launched a $100 million ship without a rudder and who's getting fired for this?" And the movie makes a lot more sense when you know the backstory, because it is such a simplistic rescue mission plotline, but then there's all these subplots that kind of come out of nowhere and go absolutely nowhere, where suddenly in the middle of it, Billy is stealing eggs and kind of becomes an antagonist, which was not set up at all at the beginning. It doesn't get resolved in a meaningful way at the end. It just kind of happens, and the actor who played Billy commented on this. Speaking of Jurassic Park 3, he says, "It was like the only part I've ever done that just had nothing for me to latch onto character-wise. And it was just it was just kind of maddening. And I think the ultimate example of this is that the movie has no proper ending. That there's just a series of little episodes of them surviving dinosaurs, and then a man on a suit just shows up at the beach and they're rescued, credits roll. That's what happens when you shoot a big gigantic movie without a script. All of that said, it's still a pretty fun, watchable, bad movie. Alan Grant is a great classic adventure, kind of forced into a situation. Seeing him battle it out with dinosaurs is fun.
Alan.
It's entertaining. I like William H. Macy. I like Téa Leoni.
What's a bad idea?
The best thing about the movie is that it is this straightforward, efficient adventure. But the fact that it is this straightforward adventure also just highlights just how undercooked the script really is.
Alan.
Honorable mention will fall right here, Battle at Big Rock. If you haven't watched Battle at Big Rock, highly recommend you go check it out. It is on YouTube. It is just a 10-minute little Jurassic Park short film from Colin Trevorrow of what we hoped and wanted Jurassic World Dominion to be, which is Tales of Dinosaurs Among Us. This family goes out camping in their RV, and some dinosaurs show up where they're at, and there's a dinosaur fight, and then one of the dinosaurs smells them and wants to eat them, and so it's just kind of a family trying to survive while they're out camping. And it just teases what could have been. Like, it's a fun little scenario. It's directed nicely. It's kind of like classic old school Jurassic Park of normal people discovering how beautiful and dangerous dinosaurs are. It's as simple as that, and plays out in under 10 minutes. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, because it's like that thing of what could have been. Number 4, Jurassic World Rebirth. And this film is essentially a better version of Jurassic Park 3. And what I mean by that is that it's a simple, straightforward dinosaur romp. In fact, one of the reasons I was excited for this movie going into it, it was the script for the film. They brought back David Koepp, who wrote the script for the first 2 Jurassic films, and he wrote a script and they went, we're so happy with it that they didn't want to fiddle with it. In fact, they tried to recruit David Leitch, director of Deadpool 2, to direct it, and essentially he turned it down because they were happy enough with the script that they didn't want anyone else to fiddle with it.
So it was a really great conversation to have, and like to be in talks with Steven and Frank about that franchise that's so dear to us. So ultimately, you have to, do what's best for the movie at hand and do what's best for you as an artist.
And so then they brought in Gareth Edwards, the director of Godzilla, Rogue One, the creator, a guy who has a great eye that can do scope, scale, and size. And I went, we've got a script they're happy with and a guy that has a great eye for visuals. That made me excited for the film. And the movie I ultimately got was a safe but enjoyable Jurassic adventure. That it gets back to something that was lost in the Jurassic World movies, that is seeing dinosaurs as both beautiful and majestic, as well as dangerous. All of the Jurassic movies lost that the dinosaurs became so common and sometimes quite literally trained that they came off like pets, not like these beautiful creatures and not like these dangerous beasts. There's some great sequences, the T-Rex raft sequence being the primary one that kind of sticks out there. And so there's quite a bit in here that I did enjoy. There's some dumb stuff in here too, that there's a boyfriend that just drags the whole movie down, and the whole subplot about these people shipwrecked, tagging along. Every time it cuts to them, it feels like we're just weighing the movie down. It's already over 2 hours long. We didn't need to pad out the runtime with the subplot about them. And you could have gone into more detail about the science, the philosophy, if we weren't wasting time with these shipwrecked people. And I just don't need mutants in these movies. Like, I go for the fantasy of theoretically bringing very close to dinosaur creatures back into our time, not to see the Rancor except taller. For the most part, a safe Jurassic movie that delivered what I wanted, a little bit of silliness, but also a Jurassic movie that, because it plays it safe, doesn't really make a big impact. It's well made, delivered what I wanted, but it doesn't have the impact of some of the other Jurassic films. Real quick before I give you my top 3, remember to join me down below in the comment section. Share your ranking of the Jurassic movies. Also, I have done individual reviews of every single Jurassic movie and spoiler reviews of almost all of them except the new one, because this is falling over the 4th of July, so I didn't have a day to get a spoiler review shot for. But if you want my in-depth thoughts on the movies, you can check them out at this playlist somewhere around here. In third, The Lost World. And this has always been a bit of an odd film for me because on paper, it has everything it's supposed to have to be a great sequel. Top tier director, check. Based on a book from a top tier author, check. Adapted from a top screenwriter, check. Great cast, check. Dinosaurs, check. So each individual sequence is thrilling, exciting, it flows properly, it's paced nicely. The only thing it's missing is a great central narrative. And David Koepp even kind of chimed in on this a little bit.
We had a number of ideas that we were working with before Michael said he wanted to write a novel. And we did use much of the novel, but there were a number of ideas we were working with already that we were, feeling pretty good about. And so we went in a different direction. We just were kind of more entranced by some of the stuff we'd thought of than some of the stuff that was in the novel, although we did use much of what was in the novel.
And right there, I think you see the problem with the film, is that you have a bunch of Spielberg, Koepp, Crichton, great ideas and great sequences making their way into the movie, but there's not this one great central story that we're following. It's a movie composed entirely of subplots. Julianne Moore goes to go study the dinosaurs, but it's not about studying the dinosaurs. Malcolm goes to go and rescue her, but it's not really about rescuing her. Vince Vaughn is there to sabotage the other team, but the movie isn't about stopping the other team. The movie turns into them journeying across the island to escape, but the movie doesn't end when they escape. And then we go to San Diego and a T-Rex gets loose. You have a whole bunch of different subplots, different missions, different objectives, but there's no one thing tying them all together. It's a bunch of disconnected, interesting ideas executed by top-tier people. And it's fascinating. Spielberg is a master at thrills, so the RV sequence is amazing. It's fantastic, but it lacks a central theme, central narrative that makes it anywhere near as awesome as the original film. And even there's some other things like that, like Ian Malcolm was a great character, not because Jeff Goldblum is funny and can deliver one-liners, but because he's bringing such a unique perspective to the concept of a park with dinosaurs in it. But here, he's not doing that. He's the quipping leading man in a blockbuster doing the Jeff Goldblumisms as if every line he has in the movie is designed to be cut and dropped into the trailer, not bringing the perspective of a chaosotician to the film. So it's always been such an interesting film to me because it's a classic example of a great crew with an amazing cast giving the slick treatment to a movie without a story. Our runner-up, Jurassic World. For me, this is just a great Taco Bell movie. Cinematic fast food. It's not good for you, but you sure do love to consume it. It's the dumb version of Jurassic Park.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
Where you take the original intelligent sci-fi concept and you play it out bigger, crazier, wackier. And so much of it is indefensible on a logic standpoint, but boy, is it a lot of fun to work. The original film had all the smarts from Michael Crichton about should you do this, control, chaos, different perspectives. No, that's not what this is. This is the 21st century blockbuster version of it. More dinosaurs, bigger dinosaurs, more jokes, crazier action. Chris Pratt on a motorcycle teaming up with velociraptors. Chris Pratt high-fiving a velociraptor, high-fiving a T-Rex's little T-Rex arm, and battling a mutant freak dinosaur thing. It's stupid, but it is my kind of stupid. Classic legacy sequel that we're kind of doing a remake of the original film, but in a new context, in continuity. So this time, the park is actually open, so there's way more people to die. Things are much grander and grandiose, but also way sillier. This is a movie I don't have as much to say about it as some of the other ones because it's not as flashy of a backstory of how it got created, and it's not a movie that I can unpack the things that I enjoyed about the story or why it fell apart. It's just dumb fun for me. That's all it is. That this is, I wouldn't call Jurassic Park dumb fun. I just think it's great sci-fi in a fantastic film. This is the dumb version of it. That it's silly and military raptors and stuff. It's ridiculous. We're mashing together a bunch of things in here to try and concoct things. It has the mutants I say that I don't like, that I complain about some of the other movies. Yeah, that's all in there. But at least in the context of this one, we've got our one mutant thing that's treated as our villain. And the dinosaurs are like heroes with our main characters, which is a very kind of dumb, very silly. But there's also something very satisfying about that. That, yeah, the monster doesn't belong here. It's supposed to just be the dinosaurs with us. Hey, I can't defend it, but it works for me. But of course, coming in at number 1, Jurassic Park. Not just one of the great blockbusters of all time, simply one of the best movies of all time.
One of Earth's greatest compositions, perhaps its very greatest.
And it's a great example of all the pieces coming together at just the right moment.
I'd want to make a dinosaur picture all my life, but I could never find a realistic way to do dinosaurs until Michael Crichton figured out a science that would make it almost allowable.
You did it. You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
I made a fool of myself. I fell all over myself to make this movie in front of Michael, doing everything but getting down on my knees and begging him because I loved the idea of, DNA and dinosaurs.
And it was enough credible science that I went, that is one of the most genius combinations of science and imagination I had ever witnessed anybody come up with. And that was all Michael Crichton.
So a prolific, celebrated sci-fi author has the best idea of his career. The best popcorn director of all time reads it and goes, I really want to do that. And all of this happens at this moment where VFX and CGI had this enormous leap forward so they could pull it off beautifully and timelessly. That is the magic that is Jurassic Park, and why all of the sequels fall incredibly short. There's not an unlimited supply of incredible ideas. You can make more movies about dinosaurs that are fun adventures, but the specific ideas at the center of this film and the book are by far the best ideas in the entire franchise. That Michael Crichton came up with this idea of how you could bring dinosaurs back. And he came up with this packaging about what if you did a dinosaur zoo and why that would be an idea that would be mesmerizing and magnetic and why it would be horrifying and it would collapse horribly. And to tell that story, Crichton came up with a great set of characters that are designed to each bring their unique perspective on this. So when you watch the movie, the first half of the film, the death count is just the one guy in the opening of the film. It's all about the wonder of bringing dinosaurs back, and it's beautiful at that. And then it's all about the philosophical discussion of why this is a terrible idea, and that's compelling.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
And then the back half is the chaos, the adventure, the destruction, the dino carnage. And nobody calls the first half of the movie boring because it's so wonderful to see the dinosaurs brought to life. And the dialogue, the discussion, the characters are so good. That is the magic of Jurassic Park. The first half is the wonder, the back half is the horror. And of course, you've got a breathtaking score from John Williams Everything about this movie is fantastic. It is one of the best of all time. So without question, it comes in at number 1. Remember, you can get that free audiobook and listen to the book Jurassic Park, which I really, really do recommend you check out at that link down below in the description. audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. You can check out my other Jurassic reviews somewhere around here. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.